What if I told you that this professional sales dashboard, complete with real-time metrics, interactive charts, and dynamic visualizations, was built entirely in Google Sheets? So if you're ready to level up your data game, let's dive in. And as always, if you want to follow along, I've included a link to the data down below. Or if you just want access to the entire sheet, you can get a copy of it at the link in the description below. So let's start with the foundation.
Okay, so one of the first things that we want to do is actually get our dashboard set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of our columns here, and I'm going to right click and resize these columns to 30 pixels wide. And then what I'm going to do is copy this, paste it, and repeat that a few more times. And what this will do is give us a nice canvas to work with to build our dashboard. Now with the grid set, we can set up the rest of the layout for the dashboard. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our background body color that we're going to use for the background of the dashboard. And now we can also turn off View, Show Grid Lines to hide the grid lines. Next, we will add our sidebar, and we will just take this down to the bottom of the page for now. And we're going to make this a nice bright blue color. And we'll go back to the top of our sheet here. And we'll leave some space there at the top and start laying this out. So we will fill this first section with white. And then to the right of this section, we'll have two sections of metric cards. And we'll actually copy the first one and paste that there. And then below that, we'll have two more cards, just slightly bigger. Next, we will lay out another section here. Something like this. And then a longer section here to the right of that. This is going to give us a nice layout to create a number of different dynamic metric cards, metrics, and graphs. And we will go ahead and add 3 more lines to this section to make it the same height as our section up above. And then we will actually duplicate that section there to give us room for more graphs if needed. And one thing that I don't like is that you can see that the height between our rows and the width between our columns doesn't quite match. So what we will do is actually change the width of our rows to 30 as well. So if we resize our rows and we change it from 21 to 30, and now go back to the top, you'll see everything nicely aligns there. Next, what we will do is select our entire sheet and change our font to Roboto. And now let's just add some text here that says dashboard. And let's make that bold. Let's go to Format, Merge Cells, Merge All, and let's up the size of that. Something like that. And our dashboard is starting to take form here. Now at the top here, let's go ahead and write the text current month, and let's bold that, and let's bring the size of that up a little bit. Let's format, merge cells, merge all, and then let's copy that, skip one, and paste, and let's change this to previous month. Then what we'll do is go down to the next line here. And for now, let's just type in 150,000. Let's merge the cells horizontally here. Align this left, make it bold. And we're actually going to make this a blue color. And let's increase the size of this. And let's actually merge it with the one below it here. So we can get a nice big metric there. And I think I actually selected the wrong blue. Let's change it to this one just to look just a little bit better there. And then let's copy this, go underneath the previous month and paste that in. And now we will make that 175,000. And let's change this color to our gray text. And let's actually customize that color just a little bit, just to make it a little darker, so we can see it just a little bit better. And there we go. Now let's come over here to the right and start adding in our text for our metric cards over here. And for this one, I'm going to call this NSLI, which is net sell per lead issued. And let's actually format, merge all, and let's change the size of that there. And I think I actually want to change this black font just a little bit to make it look a little bit better and go with a little bit lighter color black here. Maybe something like that. I feel like it just gives it a little bit better look. Okay, so now let's start adding in our metrics here. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go to format, merge all. And for now, we'll just type 2,950 in here. We'll bold this, make it left aligned, and let's center that vertically, and let's bring the font up to on that. Let's go about 21 there and leave it like that. And now let's copy this and paste it right here. And we will name this one sales dollar per appointment. And if we wanted to, we could actually abbreviate that to something like that. Okay. And let's just make this 3,486. And I feel like our black text is still just a little too dark. So I'm actually going to select that. And let's try something like this. And I think I like that a lot better. So let's select those and change those. And then let's change this dashboard text as well. Okay. Now I want to add a sparkline to our cards to make them pop. But to do that, we're going to need some data to actually create the sparklines from. So what I've done is I've added a data tab here, and I've added some simple marketing and sales data. So this includes a date field, a customer name field, a lead cost field, whether that lead turned into an appointment or not, the sales revenue from that customer, the lead type, the lead source, and then we have some formulas here that we can do sums off of. Now, any template that I set up, I always make the formulas orange so they stand out and you know they are formulas. That way, if I ever want to just copy and paste in data, I know that I have columns A through G to paste in, and then all my formulas are out to the right of that. Now, these particular formulas are array formulas that basically give us a lead count in column H. So it looks through all of column B, and anything that has a value in it, it counts it as a lead. Now, if we come over to the appointment column, it's another array formula here that looks at column D, which says yes or no. And if it says yes, it counts it as an appointment. And the sales count looks at column E, and if the value is greater than 0, then it counts it as a sale. And this allows us to do sum ifs, pivot tables, and all kinds of good metrics off of this data. And the reason I used array formulas is so that no matter how much data that I have in my sheet, these formulas will push all the way down to the bottom of the data. Okay, so we are setting up a Sparkline for our net sale per issued lead metric. So what I want to do here is set up a quick pivot table. So I'm going to select all my data here. I'm going to go to Insert Pivot Table, and we're going to create this in a new sheet. And we're going to need a couple things for this. We're going to do this by month. So our rows are going to be date. And then for our values, we want leads, which is the sum of the leads column. And we want our sales revenue. Now you notice when I add this, it brings down every single day what the number of leads were and what the sales revenue was. But we want this by month. So we're going to click on one of these dates. We're going to right click, create pivot date group, and set this to month. Now it's broken this out by how many leads and what the sales revenue was in that particular month. Now I'm just going to center these. Now we want to add a calculated field. So under values, we're going to click on add and calculated field. And before we fill that out, let's actually change the names of these fields to make them a little bit easier. So let's make this leads and let's make this revenue. Okay, so the calculated field on our pivot table can be somewhat confusing because in this formula, you have to use the exact name from your fields up here. So I'm going to put mine in and show you what this looks like. So I got an if error formula just so it would put a 0 if there's an error. But what you'll see inside of single quotes, I have sales revenue, and then I have a parenthesis and a $, parenthesis, and then another single quote. And the reason is that's exactly how I named my field in my data. So that's why it's kind of complex and I shouldn't have put the parentheses and $, it just made it more complex. And then you'll see divided by leads, which is just a simple field in my data. And then because I put that if error to give me a 0, that's why it shows there at the end. And now you'll see my calculated field is taking the revenue divided by the number of leads, giving our net sale per issued lead. And I'm just going to format this as a number as well. And I'm going to do the same with this field. And for that one, since it's leads, I'm going to get rid of the zeros. And now we have the data that we need for that metric card and to create our Sparkline to make the card really pop. So I'm going to go back to our dashboard and we're going to type in equals here. And for this, we can actually grab this from our pivot table right here. And for our Sparkline here, let's go ahead and let's try merging these cells. We'll have to play with this to see what it looks like, but let's go format, merge cells, merge all. So this Sparkline formula is going to be somewhat complex, but I'm going to walk you through it nice and easily here. So we're going to type in equals Sparkline, and we can actually click that right there, open parenthesis, and then now let's head over to our pivot table. And let's select all the values in our calculated field here. Then I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to put a bracket like this and a quotation mark. And we're going to type chart type, and then close that off in a quote, comma, line, which is going to make this a line chart. Then we want to put a semicolon here, and then we're going to do a quote, and we're going to type line width. We're going to close that quote, put a comma, 2, and then another semicolon, and then we're going to put color, close that in a quote, comma, and then we're going to put our color code here. I'm going to try this. We're going to put the number sign, and then 4A90E2, and that's just a hex color code. We're going to close that quote, close our bracket, and then close our parenthesis. And you'll see we have a nice little Sparkline here. And what you'll see is that actually follows our pivot table. So if we come to our pivot table, kind of starts up, goes down, goes back up, goes back down, goes back up, goes back down, and then it starts trending up and then back down, down, up a little, and then up at the end. So it follows that exactly. Now, if I want this to look a little smoother, what I can do is come back to our formula here. And at the end of our color code here, if I put a semicolon, and then what I can do is type in fill inside of quotes, comma, and then I can put none inside of quotes and press enter. And now we want to do a similar thing for sales dollar by appointment. So what we'll do here is we'll go back to our data, go to the top here, select it all, go insert pivot table, and we'll use an existing sheet, and we will go to pivot table 1, and we'll just add it down below here a little bit, and we'll hit OK and create. And for this pivot table, we want our sales dollars and appointment columns. So for our rows, again, we'll add our dates, and then for our values, we want our sales revenue, and we want our appointment count. And remember, we'll right click on one of our dates and click create pivot date group month. And we can center these. We can call this revenue. We can call this appointments. And now we can come down here to values and add a calculated field. And to make this a little bit easier, what I'll do is I'm going to click on this one that we did first. And I'm going to copy this formula, click back on this one, paste in this formula. Only now we're going to change this to appointment instead of leads. And we have to put that inside of our single quotes here. And actually for this, we need our appointment count. So we actually need to put a single quote, APPT dot COUNT, and in that with a single quote. And there we go. So now if we format this as a number and we center that, and if I just quickly do the math on that, 175,739 divided by 32 comes out to our 5491.84 number there. So we know it's right now. And now all we have to do, go to our dashboard and click equals, and our pivot table will pull right from that field. And now we just got to create our Sparkline. So we're actually going to copy this one and paste it here. And now all we should have to do is change our data source here. So in this one, our data source should be D19 through 30. So in our pivot table formula, we'll change this to D19 through D30. And there we go. Now let's add in our first graph. And I'm thinking we'll actually do a sales by month chart here. And I'm thinking we'll either make this a line or an area chart. We'll just kind of see what it looks like here. So let's see if we go from, so let's go back to our data and let's select all of it and let's go insert pivot table, existing sheet. We'll go back to our pivot table tab and we'll select a new spot here. Press OK, create, and rows, we're going to have our date field again, and values. All we need here is our sales revenue, and we're going to right click our date, create pivot date group and month. And now we have our sales by month here. And let's select our data here. And let's go insert chart. And let's change this, change it to an area chart. And then let's customize this. And let's click on chart style and go to smooth, kind of smooth those out there. And then let's click chart title and access titles. And let's actually change the title of this chart to sales revenue by month. Actually, let's get rid of that and I'll show you why here in just a second. Let's copy that to our clipboard, get rid of it. And let's go to the horizontal axis down here and let's change that. And let's actually lighten up that text color. Let's go a little bit darker than that. Let's go like that. And let's do the same thing on the vertical. Make it that color. And the font Rubato. And let's go to grid lines and ticks. Let's do major ticks. And let's actually lighten up the grid color a little bit. Something like that. And for our horizontal axis title, let's actually use our black color from the dashboard. And let's do the same thing on the vertical. Let's change that font and change that color to our dashboard black color. And for now, let's copy this. Let's go to our dashboard. Let's paste this in. And we actually want to bring it down there, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Do something like that. And then let's click on this. Let's go to the chart style and none for the border color. And right in here, let's do format, merge all. And I still have this title of the chart copied to my clipboard. And we're going to call this chart sales revenue by month. And I'm going to move this formula bar back up here. And we're going to bold this. We're going to make the text color our dashboard black color. And let's bring this font way up, something like that. And I kind of wonder what this looks like if I just kind of space it out over here. Something like that. Yeah, like that. And now I want to play around with these colors a little bit. And I almost want to try a different chart style just to see what looks better. I go to setup and I make this a line chart. I do like that a little better. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. I just want to check our blue color there to make sure it matches the rest of our dashboard. And it might have been minor, but just to make sure. And I actually think I like that better left aligned, so I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so next what I want to do is create some progress style bars for our sales versus our budget or targeted amount and our net sale per lead issued targeted amount. So first thing we'll do is we'll copy these headings here and we'll bring those down and let's paste those in and let's type in sales versus budget. And then let's copy that over here and let's do NSLI versus budget. And the next thing I've done is I've added a tab here called sales budget. And what this does is it just has a budget amount for our sales dollars, a budget for our leads, and a budget for our net sales per lead issued. So now what I want to do in order to create this progress chart is to first compare our actuals to our budget amounts. So that's why I've added an actual column next to each one of these. So what I want to do is type equals SUMIF, and we are going to go to our pivots tab and select January through December, and then put a comma, come back to our sales budget and just select January, and then put another comma, and now select our revenue values all the way down January through December, and close parenthesis. And then what we want to do is we just want to lock those ranges. So as I copy the formula down, it will keep those and we'll leave that one there. And there we go. And now we can copy that all the way down to the bottom and that will pull our actuals from our other table. And then this will just be a sum here. And let's just fix the formatting on that real quick here. Lost our grid. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to show what percentage of our budget that we actually hit. Now, in this example, this would be 100% because our actual is higher than our budgeted amounts. So let me quickly change our budget amount so I can show you what it would look like as a percentage. Okay, so now with our budgeted amounts change, we can show what this looks like. So in this first cell here, I want to show what percentage our actual was of our budget. So what I'll do is I'll type equals. I'll select our total actual amount and divide that by our total budget amount. And that's going to give me a percentage there. And we will format that like that. And then for the next cell below, we want to do 1 minus that percentage. And that will show us the remaining amount that wasn't completed. So now what we will do, we will select those two amounts and go to Insert Chart. And for this one, we want to select a donut chart. And you see that it's showing at 92.3% full, which is exactly what we want. But we want to make this look way better. So let's go to customize. And for the donut hole under pie chart, let's change this to 75%. Let's actually go, see what 90 looks like. And this is going to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to try like 88. I think I like something like that. And let's just turn the legend off here. And now what I want to do is make no background border. And then let's make this first color here for the slice one. Let's make it our blue color. And let's change to slice 2. And let's make this one of our gray colors here. Let's get rid of the chart title here. And let's copy this and come back to our dashboard tab. And let's paste that in. And let's bring that over here like this. And guys, I've actually been thinking, I feel like this section, like these sections are too big. So let's actually remove these bottom 3 rows here. And we'll bring this up some, bring this down some. And for these, I almost feel like maybe we should center align these. Yeah, I like that better. So we'll center align that as well. And now we need to repeat that process for the NSLI. But before we do that, let's just shrink this down so it fits inside this here. And let's stretch that out now. Maybe something like that. There we go. That looks good. And now let's do the same thing for NSLI. So let's go back to our sales budget tab. And in order to calculate this for our actual, what we're going to need to do is first get our number of leads for actual, just like we did our sales. So I'm going to do equals SUMIF. And we're going to go to our pivots tab and grab our months, hit comma, go back to our sales budget, select January, and back to our pivots tab, and select the leads column here, and close that parenthesis. And now all we got to do is lock those ranges. And now we can accept that there. Make this a sum here at the bottom to total all that up. Fix our formatting here. And then we just got to do a formula here for this NSLI that takes our sales actual divided by our leads actual. So now what we need to do is the same thing we did on our sales, but for an SLI. So we will take equals our total actual amount divided by our total budget. That gives us 69% here. We'll change that to a percentage. We'll center that. And then we'll do equals 1 minus 69.35%. And we'll also center that. Now we'll select both of those and do insert chart. Again, we will make this a donut chart. We will customize it. Get rid of the border. Go to the pie chart. And our last one, we made that 88. So we'll make this one 88. And we'll change our colors here to this blue. And then slice 2. We'll change it there. And then for our legend, we'll choose none. And let's get rid of that chart title. Let's shrink this down. And let's copy that back to our dashboard tab and paste that in. And looks like we're about the same size there. Just try to center that there. There we go. Now I'm wondering if we were to take this back to left align, and then let's go to format, merge, unmerge, and we're just going to try something here. Let's actually format, merge horizontally. And for this cell, I want to try equals going to our sales budget tab and selecting our percentage to the budget and press enter. And I think I like that because that shows us about exactly what we are percentage wise and is visually represented with our donut chart. So let's do the same thing here. Let's left align that. Format, merge, unmerge, merge these two together. And then equals, go to our sales budget tab and select that percentage right there. And nice. All right, so the next thing I want to do is add some more charts to this dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our data tab and I'm going to select all our data here. And I'm going to go to insert pivot table and we will use an existing sheet and we will come over to our pivots tab and we will place this up here and we will click create. And then I want to pull over lead type and our sales revenue. So that way we have our sales revenue by the lead type. And now I want to create a pie chart off of this. So I will select our data there and we will go to insert chart. And now we have our pie chart. But at this point, it's extremely ugly. So we got to clean this up. So let's click on customize here. Let's go to chart style. Let's get rid of our border here. Let's change our font to Roboto. Let's go to the pie slice section here and let's start changing these colors around to look a little bit better with our dashboard. So I'm going to grab our eyedropper tool and grab our blue color here. Copy that to the clipboard. We'll go back over here and let's customize this pie slice. And let's actually just select our blue. There we go. Now let's go to remodel. Let's change that. Let's try this one. And let's go to repair. Change that one to this. And then service. Let's try this one here. There we go. Starting to look a lot better here. And let's go down to legend and let's just play around with this a little bit. That's what top looks like. That's what bottom looks like. Left, right, labeled. And auto. I think I might actually go with that. So let's copy this. Let's go back to our dashboard here and let's paste this in. And let's make this smaller. Let's bring it down like that. And then let's grab this title here. Actually, before we do that, let's actually merge these. And let's call this sales revenue by lead type. Okay. Then let's bold that. Make the font size 16 to match our other ones. And there we go. Next, I think a nice bar chart with sales revenue by month would look really good right here. So let's do that. So let's go back to our data tab. Actually, let's see if we already got a pivot for that. And we do. So what we'll do is we'll actually select this here. Insert a chart. Let's bring it over here. And let's make it a bar chart here. Let's customize it. Get rid of our border. Get rid of the chart title. Let's click on series. And for our line color, let's do something like that. For the legend font, we'll change it to our font we've been using the whole time. Horizontal axis, we'll change that font. And vertical axis, we'll change that as well. For the grid lines and ticks, let's change that grid line color down a little bit lighter. Yeah, there we go. I like that. And let's change the fill color here to our blue. Slight change, but makes a big difference. And then let's copy this, bring it over here to our dashboard, paste it in. And get it lined up there. And then let's merge these for our title section. And let's just copy that, paste it, and change that to this, sales revenue by month. And there we go, looking good there. Now, one thing that we got to do is, in the beginning, we put these up here as a design, but it don't actually have values. So we need to fix that. So let's actually go over to, let's put this on our data tab. And we are going to create a formula at the top here that says equals today to pull today's date. And here we will type equals month and select that formula we just added, and that'll give us the current month. And now we want to pull the month from this date. So I'm going to type equals text, parenthesis, select our date here, put a comma, and then in quotes, I'm going to put MMMM, and this should return the full month. There we go. And we got that. So now what we want to do is let's actually insert a column here in our formulas, and let's copy this for the formatting and type month. And we're going to use our same formula that we just used here, but we're going to use it for our data set. And instead of Q1, we want a 2 to pull it for that record. And we'll copy that all the way down. And now our data has a month for each one. And while we're here, let's go ahead and do, now this formula is a little more complex, so I'm actually going to paste this in here. So we'll paste this in, and we will change this to our date field there of R1. And you'll see that by doing that, it pulls November. So what it does, it says text, parenthesis date, parenthesis year, R1, which is our date, comma, month R1 minus 1, comma 1, and then return the month value. And that's exactly what it's done here. And now with both of these here and the month in our data field, we're ready to go. So if I come up here to this one and I do equals SUMIF, and I go to our data set and I select that new month column, and then I put comma, and I select the current month, comma, and then I sum our sales revenue. That'll give our current month's sales revenue. And if I come over here to get the previous month, I'll do equals SUMIF. Go to our data set, select it all, put a comma, select the last month, comma, and then come back to our data set here and select sales revenue. Now we'll get last month's revenue. And with all the data in here and nice graphs and everything, the only thing that we want to do now is just add some nice touches to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, so now what I want to do is add some buttons to not only make the dashboard look better visually, but also add some functionality to navigate to important data in the sheet. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to go up here to the top right, and I'm going to make my first button about this size, nice and centered with these cards here. And what I will do is go to Format, Merge Cells, Merge All. Then what I want to do is I want to fill that with the blue color of our dashboard. And this button here will actually link to our pivot data. So what I'm going to type in here is View Pivot Data. And we will change this text color to white. We will make it bold. We will center it and then center it vertically as well. And let's bring the font up on this to, let's go with 14 here. Actually, let's go down to about 13. Then let's copy this button, come over here to AW and paste that button. And this button will link to our sales budget. So I will click View Sales Budget. Now, let's make this button, let's try a couple different grays here. And let's change that font color to black. And let's actually make it the black color from our dashboard. Something like that. Then all we got to do is create the links for these. So let's go over to the Pivots tab. Let's copy the URL, go back to our dashboard, click our button, go to Insert Link, paste that in, and click Apply. And to change the color of our link here, we're going to go up to Format and then Theme, click Customize, go down to our hyperlinks, and let's just make these. Let's try that color there, and let's link this one up here. So we will go to our sales budget tab, copy the URL, go back to our dashboard, and insert a link here and apply that. And there we go. And now we want to add a nice logo to our dashboard. So I'm here in Canva with one of my previous designs, and I'm just going to duplicate this to give us a starting point. And this one's going to be called Sales and Marketing. And the font's going to be much smaller on this one. And down here, we're going to call this Dashboard. And we will change the letter spacing on that to max that out. And let's bring down the font of this to match that width and bring these closer together, something like this. And I actually think that looks a little too spaced out. So I'm going to bring it down to like that and nice and centered between sales and marketing. Then we're going to get rid of this icon. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over to our sheet and grab our blue color that we've been using. Go back to Canva and let's just grab an element here. Let's put in a rectangle. Let's bring that in. Put it all the way across the back here. And let's change the color of that to the blue color from our dashboard. Let's make this font here white. And same with this one. Let's make this font white. And now let's find us an icon. So I'm going to type sales icon and see what we can find here. And I like the idea of a funnel. So let's actually type funnel icon. And let's try one or two of these. Let's see what this one looks like. if we make that white, not a huge fan of that one. We'll get rid of that. Let's try this one here. Maybe something like that. And then let's make this white. And I do like that. One thing I want to try, let's try making this a lighter gray color. So now that we have this, I will export it and then we will bring it into our sheet. So I'll export it as a transparent background. We'll do current page and we will download that and pull it into our Google Sheet. Now we are back inside of our Google Sheet. We will go to Insert, Image, Image over Cells, and then we will grab our logo icon here and just bring this over to the sidebar and shrink this way down to something like that and just place it so it looks nice in line with this dashboard text here. Now, just a few other things just to spice this up a little bit. Let's actually clone this here. We'll select all that, get rid of it. And let's just do dollar icon. Let's try money icon. Let's actually grab that. And let's actually make this the blue color of our dashboard. So let's do that. And then let's download this with a transparent background, current page, and back into our sheet. We'll go to Insert, Image, Image over Cells, Browse. We'll grab that image there, shrink this way down, bring it up here, and let's do something like this. Let's try to align this so it looks nice here. Try it a little bit smaller, down a little bit, something like that. And then I want to do one more icon here. Let's do calendar icon. Let's grab this one and let's make it our blue color and download that. And we'll go to Insert, Image, over Cells, browse for that icon we just saved. Now that we have that in, we'll shrink that down a little bit here. And let's move it down here for our revenue by month. Make that a little bigger. Actually, I like it better, smaller. Let's bring it down just a little bit. Something like that, just to give it a little pop. Now, one other thing we could try is if I copy this, come here and pasted this in, and let's actually go Format, Merge to make this a little bit bigger. We could have this button here, and this could be View Source Data. So we could edit this, paste that in, click Apply, and now we have a link to the Data tab as well.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, you can get a copy of this sheet in the description below.